Hello, beloveds, and welcome to this oracle reading for the upcoming new moon and winter solstice, which is happening right now here in America. I'm curious to hear if you have anything to share of feeling some of these energies opening within the last couple of days. I have definitely had a sense that there was more contraction for me personally in the last few days, of feeling like more drawn in, wanting to reserve my energy, kind of slow moving, and not really wanting to be really vocal or network or social, but just kind of wanting to confine myself to the warmth of my home. So yeah, if you have anything to share about the way that you've been feeling as we've been approaching this transition into winter, I'd love to hear it in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can get notified anytime new videos come out, and click the like button. It will help the algorithm so other people will also be able to receive these videos. Oh, so I'm just like charging myself up for this as I've been like wanting to just really be inside. Let's go ahead and just bring the information and the wisdom in of both the new moon and the solstice, and how this might be affecting us collectively as well as personally. And the solstice is the shortest day of the year. It's the longest night of the year. And this is when we actually enter the winter season. It's also known as Yule, and the pagan celebration that can be very familiar in traditions and some of the belief systems as the Christian holiday of Christmas. So celebrating the time when the SON and the SUN returns, and it's really a time where we focus on hope, the hope of the return of the sun and of the warmth of the spring, and being able to internalize the light so that we can take it through the winter, and being connected with the sense that although the things around us in the natural world tend to look dead on the outside, that in the roots and in the soil that it's very fertile, and that there's a transformative process that's happening in that stillness. So right away I'm going to draw. I had two cards. I meant to pull one, but two came. And the two cards to start us off are adversity and acceptance. And when you think about any season in life that is one that is centered around transformation, there is a death and a rebirth, and that is what the winter symbolizes. So we often start to hit on some of our more darker, shadowy nature during this time of year. We cultivate tools to be able to accept and to transform those shadows into light. So right off the bat, this feels very strong and generous. The other card here is books. And this being centered around coming to know our life purpose, coming more into the fullness of our soul incarnated into a body, more into the fullness of our humanity. And it's through the adversity that we're able to rise into alternate states of consciousness, because we're pushed into them, because it's the compression that creates diamonds. So maybe maybe this is a good season for you to resource information that feels vital to your particular process, that feels supportive in uncovering your own shadows and working with your shadows and healing them, and also fostering your light and owning your light and being able to share that light in your own unique way. Lightning, the owl, and Vision Quest. Lightning, owl, and Vision Quest. So I haven't gotten this lightning card often, so I'm going to refer to the manual and read to you from here. The formidable electrical discharge of a lightning bolt brightens the sky and strikes the earth, accompanied by the mighty sound of thunder. This phenomenon has a positive effect. The light illuminates the earth and the psyche. But there is a destructive side as well. The bolt can burn and even kill if it's too strong. The force of the upper world is investing their gathered energies to ignite you with new inspiration and creativity. Allow this divine gift of awakening to take root in your being and enjoy a renewed sense of clarity, passion, and vision. Life has gifted you with a destiny that is in alignment with your passion and in harmony with all existence on earth. Now lightning has come to jolt you into accepting your destiny. Let this initiation release what is in the way of your fulfilling of your life purpose. Otherwise, you'll be bound to your karmic fate. This is a time to be courageous and daring. So already we have some configuration with some of the cards already present, with the adversity, with studying for life purpose, and then the acceptance of that life purpose, which is what this spoke upon. About using this time when our resources are drawn in, like we're able to use that life force to really co-create from a place of intentionality. We can tend to be really busy during this time of year, right? And when we do that, we can lose sight of actually being engaged with actively creating our reality. Instead, we can become a victim to the circumstances because we're not creating from the place of intention. So using this time to maybe pull back a little bit from the regular outward routines that you may have. Even in Chinese medicine, it's suggested during the winter cycle to focus on your exercises towards the core of your body rather than towards the extremities. And that doesn't mean that you have to leave them out. It just means focused towards the core. And it's the same way if you think about, in a home, when our homes were heated by fires, then we would all gather around the center of the home or where the fire was. That would be the central part of the home. So this is just another analogy for what happens to us energetically, what happens to the consciousness. It wants to draw towards the core. And so you can use that to investigate and to really use the clarity that's present to understand the motives behind some of your behaviors, to source the root of some of your shadow. And to also, in that awareness, consider, what is it that I do want to manifest? How do I want to see the new year open to me? How do I want to work with life in the new year? And how do I accept more of my purpose? And I just want to make a little side note about purpose, because I get people often that, are in a place where they don't know what their path in life is. They aren't quite sure of what their purpose is, or at least they haven't been able to connect with it in such a way that they're able to produce and move in the world through that lens and through that service. So if you are in that space of not really knowing, I offer you the concept, if you want to just have something to focus the energy towards on purpose, your purpose is to awaken. That is everyone's purpose, is just to awaken. And everything else is kind of a beautiful dance of the co-creation and the playfulness of the divine. But truly at its core, we are all here to awaken to our divine nature. And so if you don't know what to do, the one thing that you can do that will always lead you there is meditation, is any practice that leads you back to yourself, back to your true authentic self. And meditation is one of the ideal paths to self-awareness, and then eventually self-realization, self-actualization. So moving on to the owl. The owl is a keeper of knowledge, it's a symbol of knowledge, and it's also a symbol in the occult for things that are hidden. Owls have incredible eyesight at night. So this feels like there is a focus on developing the internal eyes, slowing down enough to be a witness to what we are creating. Let's see what else it has to say here. The owl is the master of the night. She can see situations with perfect clarity, more so when it is dark, and is able to discern truth when others are sightless. She helps you find your light and your lightness in the darkest moments of your life, and to embrace the night as your ally. Owl can bring you messages from the invisible world. She opens your ears so that you may hear the voices of the ancestors, and you may acquire their wisdom and make it your own. Look around you and notice every detail. Find the hidden messages brought to you by Owl. Do not shoot the messenger. Be grateful to the friend who shows you what you have not wanted to see until now. Observe all the facets of the diamond without judgment, and remember that the facets you dislike are often mirrors of the parts of you that you do not want to recognize. Do not be afraid of the truth, as it will become your compass. Owl guards against self-deception and insists that your motives be pure and transparent to all. What is the message that you are not wanting to hear, or the situation you are not seeing with clarity? As we tend to be surrounded during this time of year with people, with family, with friends, and with strangers if we're out and shopping or finishing our work, not only does the fast pace sometimes create a real disturbance in settling into our heart, it causes frustration, it causes anger, it causes judgment. And then when we get into the presence of the people who really trigger us, this is the perfect time to be working on all of that material. And so as you go into these situations where you know that there can be conflict, you know it can be uncomfortable, maybe enter into it first from the place of the intention of seeing yourself in the other person. And setting that intention, doing maybe a meditation before you go on your trip to see your family, or before they come in your home, or whatever your ritual or practices are around the Yuletide holiday or Christmas. Really sit in that space and be earnest in your willingness to learn more about the truth of who and what you are, and the perceptions that you may carry, the distortions that you may carry and project onto your loved ones. And also be aware enough to notice their projections. And generally, this is only going to happen once you are aware of your own mechanisms to project, your own mechanisms to manipulate. So as you go into those spaces with the intention of a heightened awareness, you may be able to have these epiphanies. You may be able to have stirrings and examination of more of the parts of you that don't hold light. And so we follow with Vision Quest. Real focal point around vision, yeah? About clearing our vision, seeing things honestly. And wow, I'm just receiving the energy in 2023. The propaganda is going to be exorbitant, even more so than it has been. And it is like the compression that is needed to break the lens, to break the illusion that has been created, the mass psychosis that has been created. And this can be the beginning steps on your own personal journey of awakening the self, to awaken the collective, to deeper realizations and truths, not rooted in fear, not rooted in judgment, but through a willingness to accept, to truly accept the divine and benevolent presence of God or Christ's light that lives within each one of us. And as we become more identified with that, it's much easier to identify it in others. And likewise, that contrast illuminates where there are shadows. So this is how I believe this energy starts into the new year, is with clarifying our vision. Can we be so completely honest with ourselves and so willing to be wrong, so willing to be misinformed, that we are able to open to a whole new way of seeing and living in the world? So the Vision Quest. In the Vision Quest, you face your fear. You embrace your mortality and then meet face to face with Spirit. When we feel stagnant, a Vision Quest brings our lives into perspective. We realize our flaws, our potential, and the opportunities life is now offering us. We remain on a Vision Quest until we find the key to open a new door to write a new chapter in our lives. Find clarity by spending time alone in nature. If you live in a city, go for walks in a park. If you live in the country, make sure that you spend time outside in contemplation. Get off the couch, get away from your desk, get off of your devices, and go outside. Spirit helps those who help themselves. So set your intention and ask nature for a guiding vision for your life. Spirit has been trying to contact you, but received no answer. You are too busy with your life, and there is too much noise inside of your head. Do not miss the call again. Make room for quiet time and allow yourself to become bored for a little while. And you'll be able to hear the important messages trying to get through. There's something so impactful about that portion about let yourself be bored. We are so focused on instant gratification and attuned to instant gratification practices, and it really doesn't leave time for us to be in the mystery if we don't allow it, if we don't intentionally create that. So this feels like a directive for this whole picture of, well, how do I create consciously for 2023 and forward? How do I get in touch with my purpose and accept both my light and my dark? Well, taking a vision quest. Let yourself sit in just silence, or sit with some soft music in the background and gaze at a fire or a candle. I did this last night, and there is a Tibetan meditation practice called, I think it's called Trikhata. I could be totally butchering that, or it could be completely wrong. But it is a practice of sitting and meditating by gazing at a flame. And I sat there and I watched myself at one point go, okay, I want to be done with this. I'm bored. And as I acknowledged that, I was like, oh, okay, well, let me be bored. Let me accept that I feel bored and see what happens. Because generally the impulse is, when we're bored, when we say that we're bored, to occupy the time by doing. So maybe it's that you have that experience of, oh, I'm bored, and then it's how you answer it. Do you answer it with occupying, with becoming busy again? Or do you begin to operate through just being and staying in the receptive state? Sometimes our ego can do that because we're about to break through a wall, because we're about to have, an opening or a new awareness arise. The ego can try to distract us by convincing us that we're bored, or we're hungry, we're thirsty, or we're lonely. So I really invite you to try something, and to stay there until you're bored, and then to stay after. Say, okay, I recognize I'm bored. I accept that. And then what? And then what could happen? What's possible? Have you allowed yourself to experience what's possible after that? What does it mean for you? For me, I had a moment, and it was beautiful, and a new awareness rose about, wow, I haven't been creating as intentionally as I want to. Well, what do I want to create? How do I dream a new reality into being? How does that feel? And it alerted me to the fact that I am missing out on such a potent season for creating a whole new world, for participating in this grand collective awakening, and for also being in the experience of joy, being able to fill my heart and to move from my heart and to be informed from my Christ light. So one last card for this reading. Panthera, the precious and rare. Isn't that pretty? And so when I look at this card, I do think of Kauai, and these cards came from Kauai. But I see the butterfly and the jaguar being a keeper, an archetype of the underworld, of the darkness, of the shadow, one that is resilient and brave and fierce and a protector. And then the butterfly being the nature of transformation, the example of metamorphosis. And I don't know any of these cards by heart, so we'll reference the guide here too. Our faith and optimism are not meant to make us complacent, but to encourage us to believe that our action in the world will have a positive and real effect. There are situations where your voice, your courage, and your fearless determination are needed. You will make a difference. Cast helplessness or despair aside and realize the fighter within you. Fight for that which needs defending with all of your heart. Do so with compassion, kindness, and mercy, but do not yield. There's a feeling of boundaries with this card, but it's also steadfastness of, if you have a dream, don't let anyone talk you out of your dream. If there's something that you know deep down inside to be true, don't let the world convince you that it's not. And don't let the internal critic talk you out of staying in alignment and generative motion with that dream or with that wisdom. To recap this all, we're celebrating a time where we are offered opportunities to hone in on the skills and gifts that we came here to share. And those gifts are created and cultivated through adversity and through challenge. Our fearlessness to live as if there's no tomorrow and as if we do not accept other people's judgments or criticism has to come from those challenges, from those confrontations, from not denying what you know to be true in the face of a compromising situation. But to do so with tenacity, with kindness, but to be firm, to be really firm in what it is that you believe and not wavering. And traveling through the darkness of winter to find your light. Traveling into the darkest, scariest corners of the mind, of the psyche, of the human experience, to accept and love any part that has been denied or lost or disowned. And to use the skills of the owl, to lean on that archetype, to clarify your vision, and to always be willing to ask yourself when something is brought to your attention and you have a strong cognitive dissonance, meaning like you have a almost visceral reaction to the information and immediately are triggered. Go into the practice of asking, why is this triggering me? It must live inside of me. What is it? And start to track that and learn to make friends with your shadow. To not be afraid to do that. To not be afraid to discover and excavate. And to take a vision quest. To let yourself become bored. Let yourself have space and time to do nothing. And know in the nothingness, there are things that are being revealed to you. Maybe it's just being revealed to you how much your mother or your father's voice still lives inside of you and tells you, has all kinds of thoughts about, or judgments about you not being productive. Maybe it's just the acknowledgement of that is the gold of the experience. Because then you can choose if you want to interact with that. You can choose, is that actually true? Do I want to adopt that as my mantra? Do I want to adopt that as my truth? Or is the truth that this actually feels perfect for me right now in this moment, and this is the way that life wants to move through me, and I choose to be in alignment with life, and I choose to stay devoted to that alignment no matter what the outside world thinks or projects of it. Such powerful medicine as we go through the solstice and as we arise with the new moon. This new moon being the force behind seeing with new eyes. And especially the home structure. So much of that, even Capricorn, being focused around, the home, the heart, being grounded, being practical, being bringing that into this reading with using everything that is centered around you in your home and your family as points of reflection, as points to learn, to create, to be free, to liberate from the pain and the suffering that we cause ourselves from not being willing to accept ourselves, to accept love, and to accept the truth. Just sending you all so much love and honoring the light that you carry. And thanking you all for carrying that light through the winter to warm and guide others along the journey. Those who may not be aware of their own light. I'm looking forward to being with you all for the full moon in a couple weeks. Until we meet again, I hope that you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate, even if it's just celebrating that you are alive. Thank you all for being here. Feel free to drop your comments down there about what you experienced or anything that resonated with you in this reading. And until we meet again,